Hello boys. So this past weekend, I participated in my first ever alleycat race. And today I want to talk about the experience that I had, the good, the bad, and hopefully by the end of it, you'll know if it's something that you would like to try out. So if you don't know what an alleycat is, you're not alone. I didn't know until about 2 weeks ago. So basically it's an unsanctioned race that requires riders to ride from checkpoint to checkpoint throughout a city. And at these checkpoints, you'll either get signatures, you'll do a challenge, or you'll find a hidden message and write that down on your piece of paper. And typically this is all done on a fixed gear bicycle. Definitely variations out there, but that's my understanding of it. The history of alleycats started in the late 80s to mid 90s. It looks like it started in Toronto, but it was all over the place, like San Francisco and New York City as well, where bike passengers were prevalent. Now that you know what an alleycat is, let's get into my experience. So the gentleman organizing this race reached out to me on Instagram about 2 weeks prior, and he pretty much just let me know that he was doing it. He invited me and kind of explained to me what an alleycat was. So immediately it sounded really fun, but I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit hesitant at first, and that was for a few reasons. Reason number one is that I'm typically a roadie, I wear tight little clothes, and I didn't really know what the fixed gear community in Albuquerque was gonna be like. And I can be a little bit shy sometimes, especially in settings like this, so I was a little bit nervous about that. And the other reason is that it's set in downtown Albuquerque, and I really don't know downtown that well. I lived here my entire life, but I never really went downtown unless it was for college. So I'd kind of been going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to go. And on the morning of the race, I mentioned it to my brother-in-law, and he was actually really interested and he wanted to go. So I had this newfound confidence because Ben grew up downtown and knew how to get around. So that fear was gone. Now at least I would know somebody at the race. So that fear was gone as well. So a big shout out to Ben. It was very helpful having you come out with me. So anyway, I meet him at his parents' house where he keeps his single speed, and we roll on down to the event. Just a side note, I know these races are typically done on fixed gears. I'm not very good at riding fixed gear. Luckily, all bikes were welcomed at this event, so we didn't show up already breaking the rules. So we roll on down there, and immediately everyone is as nice and welcoming as can be. They're offering drinks, they're offering snacks. I find the guy who invited me, I give my donation. He's super nice. He kind of goes over the rules again. We also got this cool spoke card, which was pretty awesome. At this point, I'm feeling pretty excited, but still a little bit nervous. So we wait around for about 30 minutes. Everyone shows up, and then the organizers tell us to lock our front wheel to our bike. And then they direct us to this other column where we all huddle around and listen to the rules of the event. And it was at this point in the day where we met a gentleman named JC who will become important later on in the story. So the rules of the race were go to Spruce Park. There we would complete a challenge, receive our manifest. From there you would go to all the locations in order, complete the challenges, and then return to the end location where the after party was. After explaining the rules, it was a shotgun start, they yelled go, and we took off. So we run over to our bikes, we unlock the wheels from the frame. From there it's about a 1.3 mile uphill sprint to the park. And when we get there, it's all set up. They have balloons taped to a tree, and they have darts for us to throw. Basically, you had to stand in one of these 3 rings, throw a dart, pop a balloon, and as soon as you did that, you got your manifest. And I'm not gonna lie, after that sprint and not warming up, I was pretty gassed, and it took me a few tries to pop the balloon, which I was a little bit embarrassed about. We got through it, and I got my manifest, and then we took off to the first location. Immediately having Ben came in handy because the first location was Hyder Park, which was right by Ben's old elementary school. And on our way over there, JC caught up to us, and we quickly learned that he was from El Paso. He was just in town buying a bike. He heard about the race, and he decided to come along. He was a fellow roadie, and he was a very welcome guest to our team. He brought a great vibe and was just really fun overall. So we got to Hyder Park, and the first challenge was to draw these 2 ladies, and after we drew them, they would sign our manifest, and we'd be good to go to the next location. So being out of breath, I did a pretty shiesty drawing, but I got it done, got the signature. I also just want to give a big shout out to the guys that organized this event. They did an incredible job providing water, Gatorade, and snacks all throughout the challenges. It was just very helpful because the sun was very hot that day. Anyway, we leave from the first location, we head over to the second. At one point, we had to jump a median. Once we get there, the challenge is that we have to dance in order to receive a signature. So we bust out some moves, we get our signature, and we're on our way to the third location. Third location is in a parking garage. We climb to the top of it. Here, the challenge is to recreate the Napoleon Dynamite scene where Kip asked Napoleon if he can pull him into town. It took a little bit, but as soon as it clicked, I thought it was hilarious. I love that movie, and I thought it was a really creative idea for a challenge. This challenge was pretty tough for me. It was hard for me to get started in order to pull him where I needed to get him. And now I'm not going to go into too much detail about the rest of the stops, as there weren't really any challenges at this point. It was just finding a secret message hidden on a sign or something and writing that down on your manifest. The messages on the signs were 2520, Boo Hag, Kurgerbing, Shit House, and then the 8th message had been removed by the neighborhood. It was on the stop sign right next to Jesse Pinkman's aunt's house in Breaking Bad, if you've ever seen that. And then the last one was EB. But throughout that process, Ben's chain dropped twice. I was dropping stuff out of my backpack. We had a hike-a-bike section at one point. So at this point, it's time to head to the end location. And unfortunately, we lost JC. I don't think we communicated well enough at this point. We were going straight, he was ahead of us, and he turned left. Unfortunately, we did a few laps around the area, but we just couldn't find it. So we head to the end location, and evidently, we were one of the last ones to make it, but everyone was just cheering us on as we walked through the gate. They had a beer keg full of ice cold water, which was incredible after that hot day. And there at the end, a few more groups came through, and one of those first groups had JC in it, and that was just a great reunion. Overall, I had an incredible time. Now I'm gonna tell you why you guys should go do one. Reason number one, if your community is anything like mine, you're gonna meet some really nice, accepting, fun to be around people. And although although I was probably pretty shy and didn't talk as much as I'd like to, everyone was like super nice whenever I did talk to them. If you're lucky, you might run into someone super cool like JC and make a new friend. Reason number 2, if you're a roadie like me, you can get pretty stuck into just going straight, not really doing a whole lot of other stuff. And this kind of race can force you to get out of your comfort zone and learn how to do some new skills like bunny hopping better, or at least jumping off your bike, carrying it over medians, carrying it upstairs. And that was just a fun experience because I never get to do that on my road bike. Really, the only thing I can complain about is that it was super hot that day, but I knew that going into it. I had enough water, probably should have packed a few more snacks. And I think every single one of you, if you find out about one in your city, you should get a group of friends together, go and participate in it, and just see what it's like. Because for me, it was a really fun time. It was a unique experience and something that I look forward to doing again. Lastly, I just want to give a big shout out to Ernesto and the Gatos Racing Club for inviting me and throwing the event. I also want to give a shout out to Ben for leading me around the entire time, and also a shout out to JC for the fruit snacks he gave me halfway through the race. And lastly, if you don't know who I am, I make a lot of bike content. I mostly post on TikTok and Instagram. I want to move over to YouTube a little bit more. And if you're curious to check that stuff out, I'll have it in the link below. But yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.